Hey guys, it's me, Casey, back at it with another video. Is that something people say? Oh my gosh, look at me. To be honest, I just got out of work. I'm like cozied up literally in my bed. And when I get on camera like this, I'm like, who's gonna watch videos where someone's just dressed like a slob all the time? But that's exactly the kind of people that I want to attract to this channel. People that are just down with the get down. We're just here. So today, I was going to continue with my makeup collection, and then I was like, you know what, even I'm getting bored of that, so I think we're going to do something a little different here. If you've watched any of my videos, you might have already seen my cat, but I'll do a proper introduction at the end of this video. And if you've read the title, you know that we're going to talk about what led me to obtaining him, which was literally the best blessing to come out of this shit show of a relationship. I'm going to take you way back. This is kind of going to be like two story times in one. How I met. What are we going to call him? He's got such a generic, like, asshole dude name. We're going to call him Mooch, because that's essentially what he was in this whole relationship. A moocher. Sorry, I said it. This is like one of those videos. It's like weird for me to film because I'm not really exposing. Nah, heck yeah, I am. Anyways. So the summer after I graduated high school, which, okay, a little background on me during high school, I was a goody two-shoes. I didn't party. My prom nights were consumed by, like, school held against drunk driving events. So I was that type of girl. I had straight A's. I had 12 college credits before I even went to high school. Like, I was a good gal, a good lady. But the summer before college was where I kind of started to take a little turn, and I kept turning for a while, but we'll get more into that as stories unfold here on this channel. But anyways, yeah, this was the first summer that I let myself have a little bit of fun, I guess. And man, I honestly can't even tell you how exactly we met, but I'm pretty sure it was just like mutual friends. Dare I say it? I think MySpace, maybe Facebook, but I'm pretty sure it was MySpace. Drop a comment below if you had a MySpace. Drop a comment below if you could program a whole entire page in HTML, and right, like, now you can't even figure out how to operate a MacBook, because that's me. That was me. So I met this guy, Mooch, okay, and he went to the high school in a neighboring town, and he was, for all intents and purposes, a bad boy. He was a skater boy. As Avril Lavigne's song, that was my song when I was with him, because I associated the two so much. He was a moocher boy, though. That's what he really was. Anyways, yeah, we got talking on Facebook all the time, and for me, it was just like instant infatuation. You know, you're the good girl. I was going to college in the fall. I had already been accepted. I already had everything figured out as far as that went, and I was going to college in the same town that I went to high school in. So, okay, a little summer fling, maybe it'll last a little longer, who knows. So we talked on Facebook or MySpace, don't really know, probably a month or so before we even met in person, okay? So the first night we were supposed to hang out, I was going to go to my sister's house, my older sister's house, and I was like, oh, okay, well, do you just want to come with me? Which, like, what kind of weirdo are you? Like, I don't really know what was going on up there, but anyways, so that's what we did. We went to my sister's house and hung out the first time we ever hung out. And any infatuation that I thought I had with him before I met him only accelerated when I met him and we hung out for the first time, okay? I was obsessed. And to be quite honest with you, at this time, the first time around that we did everything, he was very, very obsessed with me. I'm not going to get into his personal life, because that's not my cup of tea, peeps. I'm not trying to talk about everyone else's, Anyway, so we spent that entire summer just like, I guess you could just call it like this insane, crazy, that obsession you have with someone when you're young and it's like a new thing, and, you think you're just so in love. And, like, honestly, at that point, like, I really did feel like this was it for me. No further research. Conclusion made that was it. Anywhere I went, he went. We went to the drive-in. We went to parties. I watched him skateboard all around the town. It was just so cool. That was it. All my T's were crossed, my I's were dotted, and I was just so in love. So in love. You couldn't tell me anything. Everything was good. Was great. And then it was time for me to go off to school. I was living with my high school best friend who had a serious boyfriend that she's actually still with. But she had a serious boyfriend, and I was so into Mooch that I was like, all right, Mooch, her man's was over all the time, so I was like, Mooch, why don't you just like come over all the time? Which eventually turned into, why don't you just,
allegedly,
because I don't know the rules on this, move into my dorm room with me. And I'm not talking about like, okay, just stay here a lot and then we call it you moving in. I'm talking about physically live in my dorm room with me. And so that's what Mooch did. And this is where the mooching began. So, yep, Mooch and I were checking up in the dorm room. We were living in the dorm room. And, you know, my roommate was cool with it because her man's was always there all the time. And Mooch had a job working construction or something along that line, you know, like a handyman sort of situation. And he had to be there at 7:30 in the morning. And it was in the neighboring town, so like a 25-minute drive, and Mooch didn't have a car. So I would wake up in the morning and drive him to where he needed to go for work every morning. I had a class at 9 a.m., so I'd go straight to class and then pick him up at the end of the day. We're living the married life in the vicinity of like a 4x4 box. That's what it was equivalent to. Like I would go to the dining hall and I would pack Mooch a little cup full of stuff and bring it up to the dorm room. And yep, Mooch and I were shacked up and in love. Why wouldn't this work out? I really don't see what the problem is here. Are you? Hello? I wish I could go back and just
slap the shit
out of me then, but what are you gonna do? I was just so in love. So this went on and I think Mooch just started to understand that like this was not any sort of life to be living for himself. Because you have to remember, I was in school, I was doing the darn thing. I did great that semester. I was pretty bound and determined to like, you know, do my stuff and still be a wife to Mooch on the side in the dorm room. You know?
Housewife in the dorm room, student in the classroom.
That was my MO at the time. But I think Mooch started to realize that wasn't really going to work out. And I started to realize that I didn't want to do that anymore. So I think mostly mutually, we cut ways. Pretty much though, still feeling like we were pretty, you know, obsessed with each other. But just understanding that like maybe that wasn't the best situation. And at that point in time, I had started rushing my sorority. Sorority story times are down below. They're pretty juicy, so check them out. And that's when I started partying like a rock star. And I wanted to go do all the things that I never did when I was at home sitting in my room while everyone was at parties and stuff in high school, reading a book or crocheting a blanket. I wanted to get out there and live my life, live my damn life. And so that's what I did. And Mooch and I, you know, we talked here and there, and on the occasion we would hang out, but it didn't go any further than that. Like, I was living my life. My best life. Or, again, so I thought, but, well, that's for so many other story times. So anyways, a few years go by down the road, and Mooch somehow wiggles his way back into my existence. At this point, I'm living off campus. I'm not even in college anymore. I was dropped out at that point. Things got better, guys. Things got better, but they got a lot worse before they got better. And I was living with my best friend from elementary school and my best friend from college. And we were living in this house in the city, and I had a big old front room, and I had plenty of space, so guess what happened? You want a hazard guess? I let Mooch move in with me again, for free. I let Mooch move in again with me for free. I did it. Me. Go figure. Me. Being a hopeless romantic sometimes just really like, it's not good. It's not good when you're young to like, I don't know. I say that, but also like, I loved deeply every time I loved, so I don't know. And I'm a giver. What can I say? I still am. Anyways, so yeah, we were hanging out. Things were going great. I kind of didn't want to keep driving to his town and staying. I liked his parents, don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to keep staying there. And I'm like, you know what, Mooch, why don't you just move in with me? And Mooch was trying to save money to go to college at this point. So I was like, all right, Mooch, let's chase your dream, but like do it in the comfort of our home. Let's do this again. Let's go back to the married life. Let's hone it on in.
Come on home, Mooch.
And so that's what Mooch did. He moved everything over, moved it on over, including his cat. His cat, which he got with his girlfriend that he had during our, years long split. He had a serious girlfriend during that time. He moved in and brought his cat. Mooch started wanting to go out with his friends. And if I said that I wanted to come, Mooch no longer wanted to go. Don't get me wrong, here and there wanting to do that, but it was literally all the time. And you have to remember, at this point, I was supporting this kid. He wanted to get accepted into this program, and he needed a valued recommendation source. And I had someone very closely in my family that could do that for him, and they did. I was really putting it all on the line for Mooch. So for him to behave that way really grinded my gear. We had some good times. I took him to my sister's wedding. We had a blast. And, things still, though, were just a little weird. So I started getting this weird feeling about Mooch. After this really began clicking in my head. He liked to go to music festivals. He was one of those music types. So he was a skateboarding musician, okay? So cool. Except for I was getting a little older now, and that whole wow factor was kind of wearing down for me. So we went to this music festival. We partied, and my friend was having a moment with herself, so I went over and hung out with her, and in the meanwhile, Mooch kind of ventured off. Well, I later find Mooch, like an hour later, intermingled with this group of females. And, Mooch, nope, not Mooch. He would never do anything wrong, right? And then these two females, they make some sort of weird gesture. There was some commentary. All smelled really, really fishy to me. So unless I had Mooch on a leash at this point, like he was long gone, wandering around with other females. It was just not a good situation, okay? So at this point, I was getting kind of fed up with Mooch and his mooching ways. So it came time for the electric bill, which I'm telling you right now, if I'm paying water, garbage, for all of our, grocery needs, our rent, God forbid I did this, I asked Mooch if he could contribute a little bit to the electric bill this month. You know what Mooch did? He said,
I think I should move back home.
Now, me right now would not handle it the way me then did. Because even though I knew Mooch was just being so weird, I still looked at him and said,
Don't worry. Forget I asked. If that's what it's about, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
But Mooch was pretty insistent that it was time for Mooch to move home. He'd mooched enough off me. And so he did just that. And, as far as trying to make it work after he moved home, me, tried my very best. I mean, how really can you be in a relationship with someone that fled the scene when asked to contribute a teeny tiny amount to everything going on? And the better question is, why would you want to be with someone that would behave like that? But for some reason I did. So, we kept going with this for a month or so, and it was time for me to go to this big Dave Matthews weekend that I went to every year. And I was so excited. I was so excited to get away, but I was so afraid to leave because I just had this weird feeling that Mooch would just do me wrong. Can you guess what happened? And just a lesson for if I have any young followers, I don't have high enough statistics right now for me to see what age range. I can get an idea, but any young girls watching this, please heed this advice. Don't let boys treat you that way. A man will not treat you that way. Do not let boys treat you that way. If you feel as though you can't go have a good time with your friends for a weekend because you're afraid that your man's going to leave your ass, you leave his ass first. But not me. So I went away, and actually I did a pretty good job of just letting it go, not contacting Mooch, just having a good old-fashioned time with myself and my friends. So it was the last night that we were there. we were at the concert, and I just had this weird feeling in my gut. And I started panicking a little, and I asked my friend, can you come, walk away and sit with me for a little bit? I'm just panicking with myself. And so she did, and then I got out of my headspace, and we went on with our night. Well, when we got back from the concert, I called Mooch, and Mooch was at a party, and Mooch couldn't talk. And so I tried my very best to go to bed. So we're on our way home from said event, and I call Mooch.
Hey, Mooch, I'm on my way home.
And he sounded a little weird. So I was like,
Everything good with us?
and he's like,
Might be good with you, but it's not good with me. I don't think we should do this anymore.
excuse me, what? I had heard correctly. He didn't want to do it anymore. Not only did he not want to do it anymore, he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk at all about it. He didn't want to see me. He didn't want to talk on the phone with me. He refused to answer my phone calls, as if I were the one that did something. Come again? So, I did what any normal girl would do. I sat on my couch and I cried and I starved myself, and I watched sad movies and I cried and I starved myself, and I called his phone 4,800 times, and guess what? He didn't answer any of them. Another lesson. Let me be a how not to, not a how to. Don't do that shit. Don't self-deprecate like that. Don't bring yourself down to so low. For what did I want to have him back? Huh? Probably a week went by. I finally got a hold of Mooch. And he said we could meet and go, talk. But that was all it was going to be. So he picks me up in his shipmobile, and he had a shipmobile at this point in time. And we go, to some railroad track. That's where he brought me. I'm like, all right, now he's going to try to off me or something. But we're walking the railroad track. I think he just wanted it was like a 1 mile railroad, and then it was a dead end. So I think he just wanted it to be like a quick, whatever. At which point he pretty much just asked how my life was going and refused to talk about why anything happened. Mooch was an asshole. Okay, I was looking my cutest. I was trying to really just show him what he was missing, and he wore sweatpants. You're seeing what's going on here, right? He had no interest in reconnecting this long, love affair. So I go home, and he says, we'll talk about peg leg and whatever else. And I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. So I go home, and a couple days later, I get a text from him that he's coming to get his cat. I'm sorry, what? Whose cat? Possession, I thought, was 9/10 of the law. And since, this cat had never been to the vet until I obtained him, I bought all of the food, all of the litter, paid for every vet appointment that this cat went to, and I loved this cat with all my heart. So he tells me he's coming to get his cat. And in this moment, ladies, is when I grew some freaking balls, and they were big ones. I told him it would be a cold day in hell when he came and took that cat from me. I can't even remember all the choice things that I said to him, but I let him have it. And, yeah, I haven't talked to Mooch since. And he didn't argue with me on it. I told him that I had paid for everything, and this cat lived with me, and it had for a long time now, and it was my cat. And he didn't try to argue at all. And that probably was the worst thing for me, because I'll tell you what, if anyone ever tried to take one of my animals, it would be a really bad day for them. I would not go down without a fight. Some barehanded, fist fighting, my scrawny ass. I would never. But anyways, the moral of the story is I now have a fiance that treats me with all the kindness in the whole entire world. And I have a cat that I love so much. And I want to introduce you to him. This is my 20-pound, 3-legged wonder cat. Peg leg. And he is the cutest, most loving guy. in the entire world. And every day that I get to wake up next to him, because he sleeps right next to me every single night, I'm reminded that even out of the shittiest situations, you can always find some good. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining.